Thank you very much, Mr. Barredo. Can we invite our experts back to the field today? So I'm sure I've already gotten a lot of questions here. So I guess we can start with the first one. Ito, I think this is in everyone's mind already. How will the possible declaration of an MECQ affect the Philippine markets? Kung sakasakaling maabot natin yung end July and then we're at 85,000, what do you think will happen? April?
Yeah, a while ago I talked about it. I don't know about the market, but
Okay.
definitely fundamentally speaking, no. I checked again. What's the difference between MECQ and GCQ? And I think the
Mm-hmm.
most important difference is the availability of public transport. So
Mm-hmm.
when we were talking to corporates, for example, di ba under the MECQ, the malls were allowed to already open. But
Mm-hmm.
then, what the property company said, even though the malls were allowed to open, there were a lot of retailers that decided not to open because they said that a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the workers couldn't report to work because there was no public transport. And for people who actually want to go to the malls, there will be quite a few who cannot go because they have no access to public transportation. So I think that's one of the most important implications. And secondly, yung mga restaurants, 'di ba? Before under the MECQ, they were not allowed to have any dine-in. So based on our discussions with restaurants, I think they're getting around 20% of their sales as of today. 20% of the sales are coming from the restaurants. So sayang pa rin 'yon kahit paano mawawala ka na naman ng 20%. And even at the current scenario where they have some dine-in, some take-out, some deliveries, they're still hard pressed to be profitable. Tapos tatanggalin mo 'yon. So malaki pa rin syempre kahit paano. It's it's negative.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ito, I guess another question for Mr. Lee. Ito, sir. What is your view on the impact of the intensifying Cold War between US and China? The PSEI from one of our customers, sir. Sir, you're muted, sir. We can't hear you. Yan.
This is nothing new, no? For the last 2 years already, the U.S. have always been the righties have always been attacking China. Whatever China does, they're always either they're spying them or whatever. No? So this is given already, no? So this is nothing new for us. It might affect the Hong Kong market, but as far as the PSC is concerned, I think we have it has already priced. I think it has priced in already the conflict between U.S. and China. Now, whether the PSE will be affected, of course, it will be affected also mainly because of the funds flow, right? Because if the U.S. market goes down, the Hong Kong market goes down. I mean, it could be a contagion. But as far as like I explained a while ago, it's really, I mean, what April said is really true, no? Whatever happened, this pandemic, we really have to. We cannot keep on delaying the inevitable. We have to take care of ourselves, boost our immune system, and the economy has to start opening up already. Because if you don't start opening up, keep on delaying this, I don't think. I think we will see even worse situation. The economy is really going to be affected, and it will take longer to recover. No? So I think everybody has to be aware that we don't have a choice. In fact, if we don't open up, it's really scary. Now, let's say we lock, and the only reason why they want to lock it down is mainly because so that the healthcare can, the hospitals can give them enough breathing room for them to take care of the patient. So it's really more of a hospital issue wherein the government doesn't have enough bed space to take care of these people. But as far as the economy is concerned, we really have to start opening up already, and people has to, like, I try as much as I can to visit the mall once or twice a week just to contribute to the local businesses,
Mhm.
no? Because and we of course we really need to be aware that we have to wear a mask, we have to wash our hands all the time, we have to social distance. But we don't have a choice. We have to start helping the economy, because my main concern is really that if we continue to delay the opening up, we will have worse situation going forward.
Okay.
So I think that answers the question. The impact for me between the US and China, oh, I think it's already given for the last few years. It's always been there. It's
Yes, sir.
always been there.
Okay, sir. Ito, we released the videos for the upcoming AREIT. I guess this is a question for April. Will the issuance of the AREIT affect Ali? Kasi 'di ba, they're gonna spin out some of their office properties. And I think it's Richard who's mentioned that in the slew of property companies, it's those with exposure to offices that are the most resilient in this crisis. So, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, it's favorable for Ayala Land because they will be, notice, no, they will be raising, I think, 15 billion pesos or something to that level. And the AREIT will only receive 10% of that, which it will use to buy Cebu. And
Mhm.
Ayala Land will actually get bulk of that, or 90%. So definitely it will benefit. It will still get around 50% of the income because it will still own 51% of those office properties, and it will be one of the subsidiaries will be managing the property, so it will still be getting management income, property management, or what do you call that? Fund management income. So definitely beneficial for them. As for the fair value, well, I'm not too familiar. Maybe it will just be a slight boost, hindi naman sobra. But I think what's more important is the fact that it will allow them to actually um, generate more cash flow, which is very important at this stage. No, cash is essential, and cash is key right now.
Okay. All right. So for people who are wanting to ask questions, just access the question panel in the GoToWebinar section. We're just using Slido to show you guys the relevant questions. So here I have another question for Mr. Barredo. Sir, you have shown the chart of yield. Now, why is the yield so bad?
Well, the yield itself, if it makes interest rate low, of course, will have its own benefit out in the society. That's why they're pushing it down. But the question is, why is it going down? I mean, it's because the sentiment out there is being quite wary of the situation, and they're trying to prime the economy to be able to get itself boosted. So it's not that it's bad, but it's drawing on the perception that the reason
Yeah.
it's falling down is because things are not improving yet. And in an effort to try to be able to cast, wider net to recovery, they will push that lower if they have to be able to generate a much more beneficial effect into the economy. And that is the perspective that I'm taking. Because if things are already looks like they're becoming better, I don't think yields will be falling. Yields should start either moving sideways or maybe even inching up to the upper boundary of the range.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. There's
Yeah.
another question here about I'm trying to. Yeah. Sir, go ahead.
Just a follow up on this, no? You have to
Okay, sir.
remember when the US started did this all this fiscal policy, to pay
Mm.
off all the 10-20 million unemployment. They were paying, I think, $600 per month, no? Just to help them out. And they
Yeah.
printed, I think, 7 trillion. No, I think they raised 7 trillion just to pump prime, give it back to because of the lockdown. You know what happened? The money went to cash. 5 trillion is now in savings. So it did not really do anything. People were scared. People just raised their hand and then just putting in the bank. So that's why the banks will continue to have is ample cash talaga. There's so much money in the system where it's not doing anything. That's why interest rates could continue to stay at this level, very, very low level. So in other words, there's no velocity, nothing. So unless we see some velocity, meaning some activity for people basically to start spending, then we'll probably will see that the economy is recovering. Then probably the 10-year US Treasury will start, the yield will start going up. But in the meantime, like even the Philippines, there's just too much cash in the system. So that's really what's bothering us right now is that the money is not going anywhere. It's just staying in. People are scared. People are putting in the banks. So it's a race to zero interest rates. That's really the scary part. Even with so much problem already, people are just not doing anything. They're just they've raised so much cash and just put it in the bank. People are just waiting. Doesn't really know what to do, right? Because it's when they don't have a job, they don't spend, right? They just raise cash and just make sure that they can survive for the next 6 months to a year.
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Another question, I think, for Ms. April is this: what will be the impact of the newly signed Bayanihan 2 Act?
Okay. I still have to see the details. I think that's what I'm, excited about. Right now, kasi I think the congressmen and the Senate are on recess. I'd like to see what the stimulus program will be, whether the DOF will agree to the aggressive stimulus that is being proposed, because as of last month, the DOF has gone down a lot of the proposals for stimulus because it said that it doesn't want the deficit to exceed 9% or the debt to GDP to exceed 50%. So that said, I mean, the Philippine stimulus program is actually one of the lowest in the region. And to a certain extent, we actually did not do a lot of stimulus because there was no supplementary budget. What happened was what we were supposed to spend on infrastructure this year was reallocated to ayuda. So yun ang nangyari. So, let's see. I mean, what will happen with the signing of the Bayanihan 2.
Okay. Thanks, Madam. Question for Mr. Barredo. Sir, the indexing seem to be clinging at the 6,000 level. What indicator should we look out for that will trigger a possible decline to 5.7 or 5.3?
Well, the 5750, there is a lower channel range that's sitting there. So a break of that should be able to tell you whether it's gonna, run right through it. Like I said also earlier, MACD is about to cross the threshold below zero, if not already. That also can generate some underlying slipperiness if that thing continues to be able to slide down. Plus the breaks of the moving averages, which we already are seeing also. In fact, even in I believe EPHE also broke through its key moving average last night, and these are really telling indications that we just have to be a bit more cautious that the pullbacks in the market are around the corner.
All right. Okay. Another question. I think this is anyone can answer this. I think. What's your opinion on oil companies, Shell PH and Petron?
Okay. Si Boss na lang muna.
Sir.
I think Boss has something to say.
Boss Ed.
The problem is demand and supply naman talaga, di ba? So if you have less activity, less cars out in the street, automatically the usage goes down. And when the usage goes down, the earnings will be affected. No? I think the biggest problem in the first 6 months was because of the inventory loss. When I think the first 3 months was a huge inventory loss of most of these oil companies, wherein they have to write off the sudden drop of the oil prices, the global oil prices. Hopefully, they've recovered in the second quarter, and they, I think there are a lot of cars coming out. Or hopefully, 34% more cars coming out on the street because of the opening of the GCQ. So hopefully, I mean, it should be much better going forward. Much better going forward in terms of consumption. Instead of
Yes, sir.
usage, should be much better than what happened in the first quarter talaga. Kasi when the lockdown came, and then it's not even the lockdown, it's really because of the drop in oil prices, the tremendous drop. Laki ng tama nila yan, mga inventory loss yan.
Yeah.
April, maybe you want to share something?
Yeah, I guess for me it's the inventory loss as well. The threat is really the oil price. If it will, what is beneficial for the oil companies is either steady price or slow increase. If prices will drop significantly, inventory losses talaga yan. So I think, yeah, in the first quarter, that's what they saw, and they booked huge inventory losses.
Okay. Next question. What is your view on the AREITs, madam?
Yeah. Okay. At 27 pesos, actually, it's quite good because at 30 pesos we felt that it was a bit expensive. So that will help increase the yield of AREIT. I think the next question is, based on our discussions, the company may actually pay more than 90% of distributable income as cash dividends. So when we said before that it was going to yield 4.6, that is based on the assumption that they will only pay out 90% at the price of 30. So now I think the yield will be more than 5%. So that's good. And parang okay naman. On the asset side, yun nga, at least it's a BPO. Those are BPO buildings, or a big chunk of them are. They have PESA accreditation. So the assets are good. And we also learned that even with the acquisition of Cebu, the company will not yet be levered. So they have the option to buy another asset after Cebu. So that could fuel future growth. So looks good. Looks good naman.
Okay. Thank you, Miss April. I think this is a question for Boss Edward once again. Do, do we have any view on the mining stocks given the rally on metal? I think it's precious metals, no?
Yes. So there are basically a few companies here that are making money out of these rallies. So it's Philex and Apex. No? The rest, if it's going up, it's basically being speculated. No? So because the problem in the Philippine Stock Exchange is that there are only limited companies that are listed. So like I was sharing a while ago, is that we now have a lot of clients basically that open an account during this lockdown. The problem is they're just limited issues that they can participate on. So now the only difference is that if you expect mining companies to be participated by foreign flows, the answer is no, there's not. So it's all basically just local players participating because of the strength of the gold prices and silver prices. No. Another issue which we're looking at is really there's another one which is nickel. Nickel is also started to reverse. If you look at the nickel prices, global nickel prices, we're seeing some reversals. And because of the electrical vehicle, the new batteries now in China requires more nickel component. Maybe it's just 3 to 5% today, but as people move from the traditional batteries to more electrical vehicles, that we're seeing probably more. Hopefully, nickel prices will have reversed and started going up. No? So there are potential in terms of the nickel issues because I think it's run well. Nickel Asia is run very well. So we're hopefully that we're seeing some reversals also on nickel Asia. Yeah, the major problem really is that the government has to make that policy, because it's really government policy, because the biggest challenge is always the local government restricting a lot of environmental issues. And so the policy from the national government policy is that they really have to uh, work with the big mining companies and allow them to operate, no? Because most of these big mining companies doesn't have a problem on terms of environment. They're fixing, they're at least they're, they fix the problem, the things that they mine, they basically fix it also, no? So maybe reforestation and all these things. Yeah, but you have to remember, we believe that gold prices will continue to do well. Maybe not on a straight line, but volatility, because it's gone up a lot the last few days, right? So just remember that these are illiquid issue. I mean, there's no institutional buying, so it's more of the local buying and selling of the locals only. But of course, the companies will do well because of the high prices. So yeah, you'll be able to, if you're a short-term player, I think you can participate, right? Just make sure that you don't buy. You try to buy it when it's low volatility, and then you know sell some when it good surges, no? Because it will continue to be channeling up. It's a channel up. It's not a one-way up, because there's no institutional participation.
Yes, sir. Okay. Another question voted by our customers is this: did the peso really strengthen or nag-weaken lang in dollar?
I
Well,
think
may
April should
yeah.
answer that.
Both.
Yeah, it's both actually. May fundamental
both.
basis naman kasi in Asia, I think we're one of the best currencies. And then the government reported how our current account position actually improved. The GIR is much stronger. You have to remember in 2018, one of the reasons why the peso weakened is because the economy was really strong and we had to import a lot of capital goods. But now business is bad, there's no importation happening. And that is more than offsetting the drop in OFW remittances, actually. Yun na nga, unfortunately, the peso is strengthening for the wrong reasons and not the right reasons. But that said, also, the frugality of the government is very good in that respect, because um, if I were buying bonds, I would like to buy the bonds of a country that is not spending money, and we are not spending money. We're very frugal, and that's good for at least the peso.
Okay. All right. And again, in the interest of time, I think this is our last question, Madam. I think this is also for you. In your opinion, which is better to have, a preferred share or a REIT?
Preferred shares or REITs? Okay, kasi
Mhm.
in some ways, a preferred share is safer because if a company becomes bankrupt, then therefore that will have a higher level of priority in terms of being given proceeds. But if you believe that the prospects of a company is better, it would be better to have a REIT. And if the yield is high naman, I think it would be good to buy a REIT because at least you can participate in the upside. So yeah, in that respect, maybe yun na nga, it's also good to have a REIT.
Okay. All right, that's all the time we have for now for Q&A. Don't worry, if you have more questions there, we'll try to answer them in another format. For the top 10, we will also be providing the opinions of our experts in those top 10 stocks. And with that, I'd like to thank our panel today. Thank you very much, lady and gentlemen, sharing
Thank
your
you.
knowledge with us. And thank you to all of our customers who joined us this afternoon. I hope you were able to learn so much from this session. Don't worry, because we will be releasing the recorded version of this seminar to our channels. So check them out at facebook.com/call financial and call premium, as well as in our YouTube channel /call financial / call premium. And of course, let us know what you think also. We have a post-event survey coming up, so we can improve sessions like this. Again, thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day.